Yo, what is going on, everybody? Today we have some more journalism cope to go over, and today we take a look at a journalist coping that Sony is porting their games to PC? That's a bad thing, apparently? Well, at least it's a bad thing according to the journalist we're gonna take a look at today, because it turns out the journalist we're taking a look at today is a PlayStation fanboy as well. I swear, I will never understand fanboys. It is only fanboys that will take issue with more people getting to play video games. Why I think Sony needs to stop releasing PS5 games on PC. Reader's feature, and it comes from Game Central. This was posted a couple months ago on February, and this motherfucker posted this shit at 9 a.m. Dude started his day with some console fanboying. A reader wishes Sony would give up on its policy of porting PS5 games to PC and argues it's undermining the whole point of having a console. Well, in the wise words of Dreamcast guy, he's probably gonna have to keep dreaming. Jokes aside, the point of a console is to play video games. It's not to lock games down to that console so it's the only place you can play games. Most people are not buying consoles for exclusive games. They're buying it for their FIFAs, their Call of Duties, their Maddens, and all sorts of other normie slop. I have been watching with detached interest the reports about Xbox this week about it being the biggest games company in the world, about how Call of Duty has done little or nothing to improve Game Pass subscription numbers, and how more Xbox exclusives are now coming to PlayStation 5. I don't own an Xbox, and haven't since the Xbox 360, so none of this affects me. But it is strange to see what used to be the PlayStation's arch rivalry essentially going third party. I don't really think it's weird at all. I mean, the Xbox console does not have that great of numbers when it comes to sales, so they're not going to be able to sell that many games on console. So obviously they're going to put their games on PC, and they're going to put their games on PlayStation. Not only that, but they have Game Pass on their console, which is a really good deal, and a lot of people will just use Game Pass instead of outright buying some of the games. And with development costs higher than ever, they need to make that money back. So they're doing what anyone with more than 3 brain cells in their head would do. They're expanding where their games are available. And guess what? PlayStation is in a similar situation. Their console is selling fine, but their games are more expensive than ever to produce, especially with their focus on graphics and cinematics. So, they're making their games available on PC as well. As most sensible PlayStation owners will tell you, Sony needs strong opposition to keep them in check. Without it, any company that ends up with a monopoly, just look at Nintendo during the NES era, will become anti-consumer, no matter what good intentions they had when they were challenging the previous incumbent. Incumbent? See, this is why I'm a YouTuber and not a fucking English major. But I love how he says that a company gets a monopoly and then becomes anti-consumer, as if Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo aren't already anti-consumer as fuck, despite neither holding a monopoly. Just 1 month ago, Nintendo introduced $80 games, a $450 glorified Switch 1, a $10 welcome tour. Then 3 weeks later, Microsoft says, hey, I can one-up you guys, drops $80 games and a hardware increase. And I give it a maximum of 2 weeks before Sony decides to come out and say, hey, guess what, $80 games. By the way, here's another Slop Horizon remaster, eat up piggies. Every gamer knows that the bedrock of any format is its exclusive games. That is the primary reason why you buy a console. Removing that makes the Xbox completely irrelevant to most people, because why invest in a format that has no exclusives when that means missing out on the one that does? More than ever, exclusives are vital to PlayStation, and that's why I think they should abandon the PC. I mean, that's not exactly why most people buy a console. If you look at the top-selling games on console every single year, none of them are really exclusives. It's Call of Duty, FIFA, Madden, and all the other, like I said before, normie slop. I'm not going to go over all the things Sony has been doing wrong this generation. We all know what they've been like. But I think that, even more than the problem of not enough games, the biggest issue is their refusal to explain or communicate what they're trying to do. Maybe there's a good reason why they've released hardly anything in the last 2 years, but we can only guess because they never tell us. Well, it's because games take longer than ever to make, they're riskier than ever to make, especially if you try something new, and they cost more money than ever to make, especially with Sony focusing so hard on graphics. Likewise, they've never said why they started porting PlayStation 5 games to the PC. Even though it seems, on the face of it, to be a very bad idea, they've just started a few years ago. I think the first one was Horizon Zero Dawn, and that was it. No explanation, no discussion, and no obvious point. No obvious point? Bro, they're a company, they want to make money. I can't believe I'm watching a journalist that is likely a grown adult just fail to comprehend the idea of a game being available in more places making the company more money. Obviously, they'll make money from selling them, but most of the games have been a flop, which is why they're getting ported to PC. They didn't make enough money, so they're trying to make them available to more people so they do make enough money. Until Dawn and Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered somehow managed to sell even less than Concord, while The Last of Us did very poorly, and I read today that Marvel's Spider-Man 2 has also had a very weak start. So making money is clearly not working out as a reason for doing it. The big exception is Helldivers 2, but if Sony wants to release all their live service titles on PC, that's fine. I don't care about that. What I do care about is their proper games being released on PC. Well, I mean, they are doing it for money, it's just not working out the way they want it to because the games really aren't that great. Even Spider-Man 2, I think a lot of people are souring on. Not only that, but the game on PC was unoptimized as fuck and had a ton of issues. But you say you're fine with Sony's live service games releasing on PC, but not their proper games. Why? You still get to enjoy them on your PlayStation, dude. I can't imagine actually caring that other people get to play games, and caring like in a negative way, like actually being negatively affected by that. I don't get fanboys, bro. Each game that loses its exclusivity is one more reason not to buy a PlayStation 5, and I'm not sure why Sony doesn't see this. There have been some hints that they're beginning to rethink, but until they say something, fat chance, or I see a change in policy, I'm going to assume not. Maybe Sony is happy to turn into a third-party publisher like Microsoft. I assume not, but if that's the case, they are undermining the most important selling point of their console for no financial gain. It doesn't matter if it's a minor game that nobody cares about, like Until Dawn. That's still one less exclusive for the console and another game having its name being dragged through the dirt. I love how this journalist claims that there is zero financial gain in making your game available on multiple platforms. This dude clearly doesn't understand basic economics. Let's say I make a brand new type of hamburger. If I make that hamburger exclusive to, I don't know, Target, I am going to make less money than if I made that hamburger available at, I don't know, Target and Walmart. Because guess what? If it's available at Target and Walmart, it is going to get sold to both Target shoppers and Walmart shoppers. You think this would be common sense, but you know, we're talking about journalism here. According to this journalist, having an item available on multiple storefronts is not going to cause more sales and therefore more revenue for the company. You can't even make this shit up anymore, bro. This is why journalists are a laughingstock. And there's something that I would just love to know. How does a game getting released on PlayStation and PC, quote-unquote, drag it through the mud? Like, don't you think you're being a little bit dramatic here? I like consoles, and I don't want to buy a PC and have to worry about upgrades and compatibility and driver updates. I want to turn on my console, select my game, and that's it. That is the experience that has made PlayStation such a success for the last 3 decades. And I do not understand why they are throwing it away for absolutely no reason. Well, guess what? You can still play those games that you enjoy on PlayStation in that exact same way. You can turn on your console, select that game because those games are still coming to the PlayStation, and that's it. Play your game, enjoy your game, you don't have to worry about PC. But those players over on PC, they can also play the game, enjoy the game, and guess what? Those PC players are benefiting PlayStation, giving PlayStation more money to make those games that you love to play on your PlayStation. So it's a win for everyone. Anyway, that is going to do it for today's video. This is one of the stupidest articles I've ever read. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike and a mean comment. And of course, I am out.